Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Brick System Brothers. It is the end of July, and these are our monthly footnotes. July has been a bit of a different month for myself and for the channel. On the channel side, what you guys have seen is a few less videos than usual, and that is a direct result of what I've been up to, which has been a road trip. So I actually left here, Iowa, on the 2nd of July, and I've been on the road pretty much the whole month. I got back yesterday. So I haven't been around to record videos, to upload anything. I wasn't counting on having internet access to produce content while I was away this time. I did something similar back in February and March, but I was able to continue producing content for the channel. This road trip, kind of on the other side of that, actually not making any content at all. And the stuff that was published this month was actually edited and recorded in June, and I just had that ready to go when I left. Josh did make a couple of videos. He went to see what was going on at Walmart this month, and he also reviewed the Supra. So those two videos were kind of current, more current than the other stuff I put out. But something that happened pretty early in the month that I didn't really have planned until I saw this come across my news feed was the Brickit app. So I just made this video really quick right there on, I think it was on the 1st of July. I published it, and it blew up really fast, which was nice because I wasn't counting on having a lot of momentum as I was leaving for this trip. So yeah, I did want to talk briefly about the Brickit video, just kind of see how that turned out, and recap this a little bit, because this was far and away the highest video in terms of views and interaction this month. Over 6,000 views, all said and done. This is watch time, here we go. So the views went really quick on the first 3 or 4 days. Yeah, I actually published at the end of June. And then within a couple of days it had already passed 1,000 views, and it peaked on the 2nd. And then ever since then it has been kind of dropping off, which is fine. That's kind of what we needed for that boost, and then the other stuff can carry the numbers for the month. But yeah, I was happy to see the interaction from this video, and I'm not really surprised that it did get some traction, because the content that was covered here is something that I think a lot of people are excited about and excited to finally see coming to the marketplace. So far just in the form of an iOS app. I don't think it's been released to Android yet, so we're still waiting on that. So the views over 6,000, watch time over 100 hours. We did get 10 subscribers from this video, and made about $4 running those ads. So not a lot of money, but more than nothing. And that one did pretty good so far. But yeah, it definitely kind of reached the end of its popular life. And that's fine, because we have quite a few videos now that are getting regular watch time and views. So what else was there to cover? I'm definitely going to be covering this in more detail in videos later in August. But even though the road trip wasn't a Lego focus road trip, I of course had to make some stops at various stores along the way while I was around and in those towns, of course. So those included official Lego stores, where I picked up several of the pieces. Most of the time I went for the smaller cups, because I knew that I was going to be visiting a lot of stores, and I didn't want to just load up on pieces in a big cup and then come across those same pieces later and not get some. But for the most part, there weren't too many duplicate pieces that I picked up. Like the 1x2 coral brick was scattered in a certain store, just a few of them, so I grabbed them, and then the very next store I went to had a dedicated spot on the wall, so I got some more. But for the most part, picking up unique pieces at every store and getting those in the cups. Also getting a few minifigures from the Build a Minifig walls. Not quite as many as what I like to get with the pieces, but just finding some interesting prints and torsos that aren't available around here or where I've seen before. But for the most part, I think the highest volume of pieces that I did buy on this trip were from independent sellers. There were a few Bricks and Minifigs, but there were also stores set up like Bricks and Minifigs that weren't in the franchise. So just kind of an independent physical location Lego store. And I really enjoyed going to those and picking very similar like a Bricks and Minifigs with loose pieces out, complete sets, used sets to choose from. So going heavy on the loose pieces there, sold by volume again. And you know the drill at this point. We've talked quite a bit about how Josh and I pick from these stores. So I do want to cover these in terms of what I bought and kind of the pieces in the lots and things, but that will be coming up. I'm not going to talk too much more about that today in Footnotes. So let's move on to last year on the channel. I don't have a lot to physically represent what we did last year. There were a couple videos that we put out with like news updates. Monkey Kid was kind of breaking out into the production scene. Let me scroll up here and see what I put out and just talk through that for a moment. The very first video I published last year in July was a modular update to my city, which is now gone. And that kind of represents where I'm at right now with modulars, except for Market Street, which I have rebuilt. Unfortunately, I don't have a place to set those up in a city layout at the moment, so they're just kind of scattered around. They're still built up, but they're not displayed. The Lego Art launched, so I did a recap on that. There were a couple alternate builds. That's what I was getting into in June, was looking at the alternate build. You take a set and you change it over to your own design. And the first edition of my 2x4 brick color chart was also published in July. So what I have now, with some really nice color samples from across the Lego palette and a few more that I haven't put up here yet that I've someone has sent to me since that video. So probably about half of these is what I had when I published the video last year. So that's been really cool to see that grow and get organized a little bit more compared to what I had when I first started talking about those. And that video is doing okay as well. So I'm glad you guys have enjoyed that. And the last one I'll talk about from last year was our 200th video special. So at that point in July 18th, we had published, well, the video that we published to celebrate was our 200th upload on the channel. So what we did for that one was Josh and I both picked our top 3. Josh actually picked like a theme, so he talked about our Walmart videos. But we both picked some of our favorite of the ones that we have produced and talked through those. So it wasn't necessarily new content, just kind of a recap for people that might have been new to the channel and had missed those when they were published. And at that point, it had been a year and a half to get to that number of videos. So that was last year. Something I've started doing in these Footnotes videos is the answering machine segment. So I had a few questions come in the comments that I wanted to cover in the answering machine today. So the first one is from Nicholas Ramsey, and I don't remember which video he commented on, and it doesn't matter because it was related to something that he had found as he was buying Lego. So I made a YouTube video about this weird Lego piece on my channel. Can you check it out? And can you find any info about this piece? So I went to look at what he had published, and it was just kind of a call for information if anyone had it concerning a really interesting 2x2 red cubic Lego piece. And I think I was able to identify because someone on New Elementary had talked about this before. But if you have a Lego die from the Lego board games, it's like got those rubber corners, and it's about 3x3 cube in size. you can actually take that rubber off of the die, and then the inset piece is this 2x2 red cube, and that is what Nicholas had. So I was able to get back to him and tell him what was going on with that. And what else did I have? That was the first question. Number 2 was from Tyron Pines. Funny to see, I have a whole bunch of these Lego 1 to 87, even complete with headlights. This was a comment on one of my reviews. I think it was on the VW 1500 scale, HO scale Lego cars. Talks about some of the cars he has, and the question is, any idea what they are worth today? So I replied to Tyron that it really depends on what you have, because it does. There are certain color combinations of these cars that were produced in lower numbers than other colors, and so those colors are now worth more. They're harder to find. Even certain car models, there were fewer of those produced, and they weren't distributed as widely. So what you really need to do is get familiar with what we do know about these cars, and a lot of that has been compiled by Gary Istock, which I linked to in the video he commented on. Number 3, Haley Redpath says, how do you download it on Play Store? It's not there. Asking about the Brickit app, like I just mentioned earlier in this video, and also mentioned in the Brickit video, it's only released on iOS right now in the App Store, so it's not available for Android. Based on what I read about the app, they want to make it available, but that involves a little bit of rehashing and how that all talks to each other on the computer side. So I don't know as much about that, but Haley, I think that's coming to Android eventually, and Play Store is the Android side. Last question I'm going to talk about is from Mike's Mocks and More. That is a lot of bricks you have. How many bricks do you think you have? I think Mike commented on one of my videos. The sorting bins were in the background, so that was one of the ones at the end of the month. I was able to give Mike an estimate because that is all I have at the moment, and that estimate is about 260,000 pieces. I have compiled that from the piece counts from the sets that I bought over the years, and then when I started buying individual lots and bulk lots, I do count the pieces in those lots just so that I can have an idea of what's coming in, what I'm actually getting value-wise. So I have the amount that I pay for the lot and the number of pieces, then I know how much I paid per piece, and you can compare that directly to sealed sets, used sets, different pieces across the board. So that's something I've been doing for pretty much the entire time I buy from independent sellers and used Lego. And because I keep track of all these numbers, I'm trying to have this running estimate going of about how many pieces I have. And of course, I would like to know the exact number, but I don't think that's going to happen for a while. Eventually that will involve having an integrated system. I think it will be computerized where I do keep track of individual pieces and colors and all of that. That's years down the road. This is just kind of a holdover solution as I count the pieces in these lots coming in. So just over 250,000 pieces at the moment, and that number is growing pretty steadily because there's not a whole lot going out. For the most part, it's just pieces coming in. So that is the answering machine segment. Just 4 of the questions that came in. There were some other ones as well, and there's also a lot of discussion going on in some of our videos. So one of the discussions that was going on pretty recently was on the rare Lego, the longest video that I talked about last month, and that one does get regular comments with people that have additional things to say about that, because it's such an in-depth topic. Even though the video is almost an hour long, I just kind of touch on the main talking points of the subject, and then as people that know more about those individual points chime in, we can go a little deeper there in the comments. Alright, the last thing to cover for Footnotes, moving right along hopefully, is our channel analytics for July. So let me get this pulled up and I can look at the entire month. Start. Okay, so this month we have 22,000 views, and a lot of those coming in right away from the Brickit app video. Almost 800 watch hours, pretty regular, and then got a little boost at the end here. 85 subscribers. I think this number is moving up. So 10 of those over in this first half from the Brickit app, and then some other ones just coming in from various videos. Also, revenue has been climbing a little bit as well. So in the first part of the year, this was hovering at about $15 a month, and now we're up around $25. So I hope we continue to see that increase a little bit at a time, just as the videos that we have monetized do get watched over that period of time. That ad revenue does come in and build up. Currently, we are at 1,407 subscribers. So this did just pass that 1,400 milestone 2 days ago. And for a while, because of the Brickit app video, we were above 1,000 views a day, and that has dropped a little bit back down now. Still holding out pretty steady with the digital designer tutorials on the top, and then most recently just publishing this little parts haul. Pretty regular numbers coming in from this video. So that's what's kind of going on. The top one, of course, that Brickit app review, and then second and third place are the tutorials. Some other ones that have been getting watched quite a bit are my bulk cleaning talk through, the studio tutorial, kind of follows from the digital designer ones. The 85 subscribers that we had come in, here are those public, the subscribers that made their subscription public. So I'm able to see you guys, and I try to put those in at the end of our Footnotes videos here. So thank you for coming on board to Brick System Brothers. It was a great month despite me not being around to produce content. Again, the stuff that was published was just kind of on hold. So it's not that we didn't do anything this month, it's just that I wasn't as actively involved as usual. Thankfully, we're still able to answer questions in the comments. Wasn't totally cut off from civilization, and I did have a great time stocking up on some new pieces. Because we've talked about this before, we don't actually have an official LEGO store close by. Josh and I don't have a store that we go to regularly. So whenever we do get out on a road trip or somewhere that's close to a store, it's kind of one of our top destinations. And on this particular trip, I was able to hit a whole bunch of them down through the Boston to New York City corridor. There's like a whole line of stores as you go down that interstate. So some of this stuff definitely going to be coming back to talk about a lot more in the future as we move into August. In terms of other videos and other content, you'll just kind of have to wait and see because I haven't planned that all out yet, but I will be back in the production seat here next month and putting those videos out for you guys. Thanks so much for watching Brick System Brothers, and specifically our Footnotes video. We've got all that stuff coming up like I just mentioned. So stick around, we hope to see you there.